Okay, Success Nation, this is your host Michael Nguyen from Asian Success Show, where successful entrepreneurs show you how they build companies and achieve success. I introduce my guest today, Mr. Thuy Mai. He's a CEO of DiCentral, a leading global innovator in electronic data interchange, software, and service solution, with offices in US, Vietnam, China, and Hong Kong, and over 300 plus employees worldwide. In recognizing Mr. Thuy's effort to help supply chain communities solve significant challenges, he was awarded the Pro to Know by Supply Chain Executive 3 years in a row, 2009, 2010, and 2011. Mr. Thuy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It is a privilege to talking to you.
I just given our listener just an overview about you. So can you take a minute and tell us about you personally, because we want to get to know you, and then give us an overview about your business.
I was born in Vietnam. I came to Chicago at 13 years old, which is 1975, and so I lived here probably almost 40 years. I'm old. That is from my personal perspective. I went to high school in Chicago, graduate and undergraduate in Chicago. I worked my first job with Bell Lab AT&T. After that, I moved out to Houston to work for United Space Alliance, which is we work for NASA. I worked them for 12 years, and finally I found a DiCentral corporation. We started with 3 person. Now we have about 450 employees today.
Excellent. Andre, did you have a success quote that you live by every day and you want to share with the audience?
It's pretty simple. For me is this, right? Whatever you do, you have to be passionate about what you do. Success will come right after. You don't have to worry about what just like you take the bottom to top approach. Do whatever you can do today. Then if you try hard enough and at so many times, thing will come.
All right, so give the audience one example that you this quote to guide you back to where you were, when you had challenge.
I think it's passionate is everything. You have to love what you do, and when you love what you do, because put it this way, right? Job, you spend most of us spend most of the time at work. If you're passionate about what you do, I think it will. That's the answer for every other thing. Just like I told many people, right? Somebody paying for my hobby, basically, right? So I'm going to do this. But I'm going to do this regardless of the financial mean. Of course, we have to get revenue enough to pay our employee. But the goal is not to worry about that, rather than focus on your business and provide good values to your customers and the backbone to your employee. That's the key thing that you have to worry every day.
Excellent. Share with the audience how DiCentral do in the first quarter of 2014, as well as the growth. And
so right now, I think is what we do right now, as you mentioned earlier. But I think I just want to clarify. So we expand. We grew about 20 to 25% last year. We are a global company, so we have customers over over the world. But in terms of facility, we have about more than 200 employees in Vietnam. We have about 10 employees over in China and Hong Kong. We have 70 people in Montreal, Canada. We have office in Wisconsin. The headquarters, of course, is in Houston, and we opened up just yesterday an office in India, and hopefully this year we want to expand and at least have our presence in Japan.
So the revenue is from up to 15 million, something like that?
Our revenue at this time is around $25 million.
Can you tell me about the moment when you just founded the company was founded back in 2000, right?
Right, it's in 2000, and
Ba-
let me give you a little history about the company. So at the 2000, it's at the bubble. We have a I have a business plan. We want to get some financial angel round to start up the company, and with that we plan to come have round A, round B financing. Uh, During at that time 9/11 happened, so it's very difficult to get any more money after the angel round. So we never get any more money after angel round. With angel round, we changed our business plan to a very conservative bottom up approach. It is somewhat is more conservative rather than go and get the whole market. So it take a longer time, but the investment is minimal compared to the other approach.
Now, before you raise fund, did you have any customers?
No. Basically, as a software company, right? You spend the first at least a year to 2 years, 100% at zero revenue, before you can make any revenue because the software had to be written, had to be developed. So it is software-wise, it is a big risk game. Because not like service. Service you can get revenue immediately. Software you have to come up with the software, and it take at least 1 to 2 years to get your first dollar of revenue.
Now, okay, without that validation, how did you come around and pass the angel round of funding?
Oh, angel round is a lot of them is a family and friend. So the people I know well, basically they just trust in me rather than the whole market. Most of them they don't understand what I'm doing anyway.
Okay, sounds fair.
Uh,
And all right, so when you change the model from to very conservative, and
mhm.
how did you do?
So basically, is we go back to we don't spend any more money on sales and marketing, and we focus 100% on products, and we gradually going to get the low hanging fruit. So we got smaller customer, so we don't have to wait for the long sales cycle, and gradually we build over years. So every year that we grew consistently from 20 to 30% of our revenue all the way to today. So
Oh,
we try to continue with that pace.
oh wait, hold on. So at that time, you quitted your job and started the company, right?
Right,
Okay, now how did you have? So you used that angel round funding to fund your operation within the first year, right? To write
right,
software, develop software and stuff.
right.
And then, how did you find the first customer?
Uh, I'm in the in I before I found this company. I know a lot of other company that I used to work with or talking to. So that's how that you just word of mouth. So right after you have to close your own deal for the first few deal, right? Before you can you can hire some sell people. So our very first fund, right? If there's only 3 people in the company, you have to do almost everything for the maintenance, clean up your toilet all the way to close the sale.
Excellent. Okay, so tell me about the process when you sold your first customers. Do they understand what you're doing, or you have to demo, or how does it work?
It's we this is from the professional perspective. I pretty much know, right? So this is now you can build a corporation with the brand name with that, right? So the first one that we want is the first contract with Baker Hughes. So they have a major issue with their software, and we came in, bid, we sent in our bid, and we won the first deal. And after the first deal, then right now we have about 6,000 customers globally, and with 30,000 users. So it have been increased, consistently over the year.
Excellent. And so after that first customers, how did you get to the point where you're in the black, that you can sustain the company without raising more funds?
Right. So basically, it have been tough, right? I can be very honest with you. So in that because of that, we I most of the management team after that we take the pay cut, and substitute that with the share. So we take a lot of action that to preserve the cash until we break even. So in the 3 years, we broke even, and from the 3 years on till now, we was profitable every year.
So, okay, so within the first year, you guys don't make any money.
Right.
For 3 years,
For 3 years.
no monies, and then after 3 years, then you just took off.
That's right. That's right. After the second year, you make some money, but you're still in the red.
It's in the red. Then
Right.
third year, actually in the black.
So 30 years at least is you break even. And after you hit the break-even point, now you can breathe a lot easier. At that time, you can I was somewhat more aggressive to expand our business, and that's why we keep expanding until now.
Is that wonderful? Is that I heard the statistics that the Department of Labor is saying that 95% of companies fail within the first 3 years.
True, but I think it's if you passionate about your business and what you do, it increase your chance to be at least in business. I don't know about success, but at least in business.
Okay. Now, so within the first 3 years, did you add any employees so that to help you out, or just three core people from the start?
Actually, the first 3 years we have about total about 10 employees.
10 employees.
So 10 employees, and we pay very low, and we give them a lot of stock options, so to substitute for their income. But they are very happy at this point.
How did they feel then when you say, hey, my salary is really low, what I just had is just a bunch of papers?
Yeah, it is tough. It take a lot of convincing. So basically, as you say that we are in the same boat, and this is my vision, this is the plan, and this is convincing. And of course, everybody have different needs. I didn't say that I was able to convince everyone, but I think is I was able to convince a core team to stay with me till today. Most of the core team when we found the company, still today, still here today with us.
After 14 years.
Yeah, after 14 years. So put it this way, the way I structure the company is 33% of the company is stock of the company is owned by employees. So that's why we grow the way that we was able to without a lot of big financing support. But we might take in some money. But at this point, I think we feel very comfortable just expanding our own business.
I'm curious, what are some of the cost-cutting mechanisms that you did at that time without really hurting the morale of the companies?
It is a tough sell, right? So now it's at the end of the day, it's money. Everybody have a different need, right? So morale is always a tough part. You have to sell them something that's in the future, and I think I was able to deliver that. You cannot just say 5 years from now, look at that. You have to give them a roadmap, 6 months, 12 months, or whatever. So when they see that consistently we hitting the goal of the roadmap, and they start believe into what we are here for.
Can you give the audience one example that you did that, and then so that it kind of illustrate your points, sell the vision and stuff?
It is quite simple, right? So basically, it's in business, revenue, financing is just like your blood. It's very difficult to if you have that. You have a lot of time to do a lot of things. So what we do is we plan out with the forecast, with the revenue, and with the revenue, with the cost, and we was able to meet that forecast, and people start having trust and help me to execute the plan.
Interesting. Forecasting is always challenging. How did you manage to forecast sort of in a way that you can meet it?
It is not a science. It's not black and white, right? So you throw out a number and you try your best to hit that number, and that's what is the challenging about, right? So basically, is sometimes you cannot say that it's all your credit, but some of it is you just luck. Sometimes some deal, some customer that we thought we would have on our hand, we didn't get it. But some of them, they just give us one phone call and they sign up with us. So it's not a simple one example, but persistent is the key.
Now, did you raise that sales goal every single time? Like for example, you said, okay, in the first 3 months we're gonna have like what 3 accounts. Then you
Mm-hmm.
raise it up like maybe like 3 months we're gonna have 6 accounts. Is that the way that you work?
Yes, and that's how we do, right? So we have to take care of each of the customer with a very high touch service, and we use them to grow our business. We use them as a reference for a reference account. So most of them today we still be you still friend with. So we got a long-term relationship with all of them.
I'm curious at the fact is this. So the company in the cost cutting mode, and then you plan out a goal of, let's say for example you wanted to get 3 accounts for the next 3 months, and then the
Right?
next 3 months you increase that sales goal, but you don't add in more resources. How did you do that?
You have basically people have to work 12 hours, 15-hour a day.
Okay.
You do whatever it takes. Basically, there is no single formula. Basically, if you close an account, you look at engineer, you look at say, I don't know how to get there, but you guys have to deliver, and that's about it.
That's amazing.
And then basically, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of basically a lot of weekend work, a lot of night work. Uh, at this point right now, we're not on that mode anymore. But at one time, yes, we was
Yeah,
in the
that time is it just very interesting. So you pay them low, but they still working night and weekends and
exactly,
just get
because
things done.
there is of course, right? You have they see what their work, the result of their work, and stock option is a very good tool. So if they own a major piece of the company, so that's how I think that we can convince that this is the right thing to do.
Well, when you mentioned that, when you brought up the stock option, I had a question. Back then, at 2000, when the
Mm-hmm.
whole internet bubble collapsed,
Mm-hmm.
at that time, were people concerned about stock options?
Right.
Were
Of
they?
course,
And then,
everybody concerned, but I think it's everybody. A lot of the people that I dealing with is in this profession for a long time, and they very highly with very high skill, and I don't give I give credit for my team, right? We have a very solid team, and that's why we are here today.
that's amazing. I have to admire you to, sell them vision, and then they bought into the stock option deal.
That's right. That's the only way, because the only alternative way is to shut it down and work for somebody. And this job is good. Don't get me wrong, but you want to build something that you can be proud of your team. And from now on, right, at least at this point, we provide we have 450 paycheck we have to pay every month.
Okay, so within that first 3 years, what lessons? What is the number one lesson that you learned?
See, there is I think I learn every lesson every day, right? New lesson every day. So there's not single for one. They are the same, but I think it's when you build a company, there's a lot of things that you want to like. You make quick decision, uh, but at this point right now, the biggest thing that we change over the year is now is more process driven. It's not entrepreneurship anymore. So now everything have to go to so there's a lot of things that I think that if I have to look back, I might have to uh, uh, basically we make some change even quicker. So one of the issue that I learned over the year is sometimes decision need to be decisive, and sometimes that's one of the weakness of a lot of people that making slow decision.
In other words, you said quick implementation. Is that what you say?
Yes, a quick amount. Like let's say if we want to make the change, all right? If you feel that you need to make the change, make the change.
So speed is the key. You said based on
Yes,
what you see right now.
the problem is I think there's a lot of business make decision, have problem is this, right? I think the worst part is no decision. See, because no decision, you learn nothing. Even you make decision, If it's wrong, you can turn around, you can flip around, you can change. But if you don't make any decision, reluctant to make changes, and that's where it put a lot of business involved in trouble.
But what if they say that, hey, taking no action is also a decision to take no action?
True, and I think that's the worst decision, is making taking no action. In that case, you just shut your door and then do nothing, right? Because whatever you do, you can either do it more, or you learn that you should not do that. You do the other way, right? So you always have, doing something is the way that you can learn. Do nothing, that when you turn your company into stealth mode.
So do nothing is the worst decision according to your opinion.
Exactly. So you keep, if you have to make a decision, make it quickly. If that was wrong decision, quickly change it. Don't just reluctant to make any change, and that it will cost you a lot of time and money.
At what point DiCentral experience 10 times the growth?
So after of course, right, when after the first 3 years, we grew crazy number, like a couple 100%, because the revenue was so low. So a couple 100% or even 10 times is actually nothing, right? So after 8 years, we consistently grow very consistently at about 10, 20 to 25%.
After what? About 8 years?
After 8 years.
8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you look back at that 8 years, what did you make so that you can achieve that 10x growth?
Just hard work. Just basically is you have to bring, you have to reinvest every dollar that we bring into, rather than paying us. We reinvest back to the company and hire more people to help us to grow the business bigger, quicker, and bigger.
Wow, interesting. So, did you so you keep reinvesting back into the company for a straight 8 years, or somebody cash out and stuff?
Right now, right now at this point, we pay dividend to people, but dividend right now is profit is not a big thing on our mind, especially in the software industry business. The top line is very important for us at this point. So we need to grow the revenue as fast as we can. Because, put it this way, you have to grow the business to $50 to $100 million to be really credible company. And we are on our way, but we're not there yet.
I see. And to achieve that 10x growth, what had changed in the company as far as the organization, or as far as the process, the products?
The product, I think, is, of course, is over time that we learn more, and we have to change or add more features in our product. But the key thing is the global, right? In this business, it's just like you have to be very adaptive. You have to be, and that's how we grow from 3% to 450 people. It is very difficult when you let something go. That's the most difficult thing for anyone, right? So yesterday you were an engineer. Today you have to be managers, and tomorrow there's a lot of things I don't do anymore, right? So let's say you start a company, you have to do HR, you have to do maintenance, you do everything you can. Today, almost everything is being done by many other people, right? It's very difficult things for it is a growing pain for anyone, because you don't feel confident. But I think that if you can let things go and let some people come in and help you, and that's how you can grow your business.
Share with the audience about how you could be so confident to let it go, and maybe somebody consider the company as a child. They don't trust nobody to take care of it, and explain the process. I mean, explain the eternal chain or transformation.
Right. This is not easy. Sometimes for sure. This is the thing that's about business, right? Business is not, if there's no risk, there's no business, right? So when you turn something over to somebody, so they can make decision for you, and sometimes they're going to fail, almost like 99%. But you have to let them to do that anyway, so that we can go through the process. Because otherwise, you can sit there and debate until next century. Is nothing would happen, right? So sometimes it costs a lot of, the lesson that we know that there's few things somebody propose that you want to do something, and your gut feeling is not to work, but in order to prove it's not to work, you have to let them do it.
How did you manage that risk then?
Basically, as long as it doesn't break the bank, right? So basically, it's sometimes that it almost is going to screw up, but that's okay. Let them learn, so next time we will be better. Right? So there's a lot of lesson. Actually, it's quite expensive.
Yeah,
but over the years, this is what I keep telling everyone, right? Naturally, we're gonna make mistake. That's given, but we don't want to repeat our mistake. That's the only thing I ask for.
Interesting. So let's say in sales, and let's say that's the account is worth like what, 1 million.
It depends, right? We just like say our business model. We have Fortune 500 customers, and we have some customer that's selling to Walmart, like witches, right? So our customer, like I say, we have 6,000 customer. So there's a lot of big company, a lot of smaller company. So it's all mixture.
I see. So all mature companies, and based on what you're saying, you can afford to lose some of them.
True. This is the beauty of our business model, right? I don't want any company account more than 1% of our revenue.
Don't want anybody account more than 1% of companies.
A total company revenue.
Can you share about the reason behind it?
Because we don't want to be depending on anyone. So in that case, we have a leverage to negotiate. If you have a customer that account for 10% of your revenue, most of the time you're going to lose money on those customers, because whatever they want, they're going to get.
True.
Right? So if you can keep that, nobody should account for more than 1% of your revenue, you have a lot of leverage to negotiate with your customers, and you're willing to lose some bad customers, because not all customers are profitable for you, and at one point you had to make that decision.
That's true, because how does that affect the products? Because based on to your point earlier, if you had one account, one customer accounting for 10% of the revenues, so you have to make really customized product for them, right?
That's right.
But with this model, you don't have to make any customized product for nobody.
That's right. We don't customize software. Our model is just like Microsoft. We write software, and we configure, and they can use the software. We don't customize any piece for anyone. So basically, if the feature they want is only being used by them, usually we will tell them no.
I see. Well, some of the audiences may not understand what EDI mean. Can you give one example of how your software and service help a client?
That's quite simple. You look at, basically is application to application, right? So each application, every software, you have data within that software, and the data have to be transmitted or today, the data have been transmitted by phone, by fax, or email. So our product is we let application interface with application without human intervention, right? So I give you an example. Let's say Walmart have a few thousand suppliers that's selling product for Walmart to Walmart. Then so Walmart have to send out the purchase order to all of them, and they have to receive a shipping notice, how to ship and when to ship, when they do all those things, stock, inventory, and every other thing, right? There's a lot of document go back and forth. We automate that process for application can interface with application, so they don't have to call anyone. They don't have to retype the information. They don't have to take any information and retype into your own application, because each company have their own application and they use the application different way. and we are just like the exchange, just like a phone switching system. So when you send the data to us, we just know the other side what they need, and we just translate to the right format of the other of your training partner. A pretty simple concept.
Excellent. So let's say for a typical client, how many hours would the software could have saved the client?
Usually, take example today, right? So let's take some simple example. If you file your income tax, right? You file your income tax and you send to IRS. In average out, it will cost the government around $150 to take that information and put in the system. Because a lot of errors and things like that too. It's not just straight typing, right? And it gets complicated because of the business rule, right? And now with IS, if you submit a form electronic directly to their system, it costs them about $5.
Wow.
Right? So that's why everything right now they try to automate and cut costs. Airlines same thing. If they take an order through a phone, it probably costs them about $50. And if they take an order through electronics order, probably cost them about less than $5. So it's like cost saving measure. It's more than just cost saving. Imagine like Walmart or any big retailer. They carry millions of items, and they have to interact with their supplier around the globe. And if you have human intervention, it's not possible anymore. So everything has to be automated, and we are the part of that.
I see. Now, if you have to take a ratio, so you're saying if you use the case of IRS, and if they have to do it by manually, but type in manually, it will cost $150. If they did by $5, so the ratio is always the same for companies.
Depend. It depends on the business, right? Same thing with insurance company, right? If you send in if you claim insurance, if you fill out like 2 pages form, their cost is a lot of money. They have to type in and what happened that they can read, and there's a lot of back and forth, right? If you do it electronically, nobody have to do anything. The data directly go to their computer, to their application, and they will pay you almost immediately.
Excellent. Now, at what point that you decided, hey, we want to go international?
Actually, we did not decide. We go wherever the customer take us to.
Oh.
Right. So basically, why we put a lot of effort in Asia, because we U.S. we import a lot of product from Asia. So a lot of our customer that they supply in Asia, and we have to go to Asia to support them. And the same thing with India, same thing with Japan. We just follow where our customer need us.
I see. And then those customers, you don't have to make a lot of hard sell because they knew you, they knew the company that you work with from in the state, and then they just somehow magically become
actually is like supply chain is just like a little network, right? It's not by yourself. So let's say if you buy, let's say that you selling product to Walmart. Walmart will say, okay, you have to be EDI compliant, and you should use EDI Central. And that is our biggest marketing tool.
Gotcha.
That's example. I'm not saying particularly Walmart. I don't want to disclose any name, right? But anyway, so my point is this. So the buyer usually make our decision. The only way I'm going to send to you is electronically. We not to mail and fax it to you because that's too expensive for us.
Okay, so from what you mentioned earlier, you went to Asia where the customers are.
Right.
And how did you make the decision that you increase the staff to 200 people in Vietnam? And
200 people in Vietnam, we use them for for the Vietnam is a little bit different, right? Vietnam that we right now for 5 years, 6 years ago, we look at the whole industry, even including Microsoft, about more than 50% of Microsoft development is being done overseas. Costs and and in the US it's sometimes very difficult to find resources. Most people over in this country we cannot find enough software engineer to do all these things. So that's why we use Vietnam as development resources for us rather than customer facing. That's one of them. We still have a lot of customer in Vietnam also, but majority of 210 people that we have in Vietnam is develop software for us in the state. So at this point right now, in Houston or in North America, we don't write software anymore. We design, come with the spec, and we send it up to Vietnam to do it for us.
How's that working out for you?
Say again?
How is that working out for you when you have a team in
Oh,
Vietnam to do development?
it is wonderful because some of basically is yeah, of course there's the advantage and disadvantage of whatever you do, right? So if you go to different country, you're going to have different holiday, right? So there's a lot of challenging that you have to face, but there again, but you have to maximize the criteria that help you to have the development in Vietnam, or even in China. If we have any problem, if we submit before 5, most likely we will have the result before we wake up tomorrow morning.
Excellent.
Because of the time zone. So we maximize what we can maximize, and we try to minimize the differences. And basically, that's what you have to live with. You cannot have a cake and eat it too.
Has the rising wages overseas diminished the advantage of having a team?
No,
country?
not really. We use basically is at this point right now. That's the only way. Like I say, is not more than just cost, right? In this country, you can not find enough. We don't find enough software engineer to just do the work. So we don't have any choices to just leave to do it here.
I got you.
Right, because a lot of you look at the younger generation, a lot of them, they want to go to medical or business degree. If very few people want to burn a lot of candle or
If you had to share 3 things with the customers about with my audience about how to manage an overseas teams, what would it be?
first of all is you have to be adaptive, in culturally with the team. You cannot have 100% your way or 100% their way, because if you and both sides have to give and take, right? So that's one. Now take example, like in Vietnam, if there is a soccer game, you have to you can't do anything about it. Most of the team will watch soccer. Okay, so there's not much you can do about that, right? But the other hand, when they work, you have to maximize those things, right? Second thing is about also outsourcing. We own the company in Vietnam, so they are our regular employee. So we build a team there. We're not like stole over the job, and that's it. That's not the way our intention. Our long-term intention is we want to expand this company globally. So each country will do a few things, right? So the second experience I have, and which I think we succeed, you go overseas when you plan to expand your business, not try to save your company, right? Because at the first year, it's going to cost you a lot more than what you expend, what your expenses today. And a lot of companies make that mistake when they are in trouble. They want to go overseas and try to save the company, and almost 9 out of 10 will fail. Most companies go overseas actually did not have any good result, right? And the last one, you have to be flexible on both ends. You don't want to show, you want to build a long-term relationship with the company, rather than just cost. You want to build up their career. You want to offer their, of course, the salary. The second one, their career, rather than, you go there just only for cheap labor, which is the wrong thing that you want to go overseas.
Quick question for you on point number 2. You said you go there, you actually form the company over there and then hire them as your regular employees. At that time, I think that 3 contenders, maybe India and China and maybe Vietnam. But why would you pick Vietnam to start with?
One of not because one of a few of the people who work for me, they came from Vietnam. They went here for school, so for them it's easier for them to run a team from Vietnam. But in the team in Vietnam, we have about 5. Every team that we in Vietnam, that we have at least one person cannot speak Vietnamese. So we want to promote English, and so I think we want to turn into a multinational environment.
I see. And as far as the business decision, when you mentioned earlier that the first year when you opened overseas, the cost is always running higher. How did you justify
Right.
for that?
And that's why you have to have a business plan, right? You cannot just go there and try to save. Just like you don't go to if you just want to save the company from some financial crisis or cost saving, that's not at the time. At the time. So what we want to do is, like, let's say that your development cost is about $1 today, right? You have to plan about $1.05 for the first year that will go overseas, because you have to keep everybody here and the new team in Vietnam,
That's right.
right? And the training, right? So the cost on the first year is not reducing at all, and it's a lot more work because now communications and time zone and everything else, right? And after the first year, you have your process settled down. People learn how to work with each other, and at that time you can see the cost really start reducing in terms of total cost.
Okay, when you mentioned about the time zones and like I mentioned earlier, I visited you several years ago when Houston. I saw you have a bed in your office, and explain how do you. So you said you mentioned that your company you stay most of the time with the companies. How does that affect your families and your life
Oh,
outside?
my kid is grown up, so I don't have any problem. They are in college, and most of like I have 4 children, and they all grown up. I don't have to worry about that.
I see. And
So,
but you stay there to catch a conference call at the Vietnam table.
yeah, sometimes we have meeting here and there, and usually now technology improves so much, so we can meet like a meeting, and somebody from Houston come over and have join the meeting, and we have the other line from India, from China, and from Vietnam at the same time.
So all right.
So it's very convenient. It's have been improved a lot. So now I don't have to spend a lot of time at the company anymore, but I have to travel a lot more,
Oh, I see.
right? Because now is most of the time that you just have to go there, and my job is right now is almost like cheerleader. I don't do much. Make sure that people see me and understand that we want to build the company to the next level. And just traveling is my that's I spend most of the time on the road. I just came back from India last week.
Interesting. What is your vision for DiCentral?
We want to take the company public this year or next year.
Tech Public?
So that we have a lot of work, a lot of work ahead of us. So from there, I think that the sky is our limit. We want to expand as much at high as we can. And at the end of the day, right, the company owned by the shareholders. So I do have vision, but if the majority of the shareholder want to exit out or do whatever with the company, I'm fine with that. I have all $1 million thing I might want to do, but I think is we just I just want to focus on one things at a time. So what we want to do is we want to put the company in the position that we should have we want to have a very nice good IPO, and that's what we're shooting for at this time at this point.
Is that and was that the reason why you acquired several companies
Yes, that's one of
recently?
them. We acquired about 4 companies for the last 5 years.
Mm.
So strategic, very strategic, right? So some of them rather than spend, because every industry you have to have a lot of expertise in that industry. So to acquire company, a lot of times you acquire the human resources, and some of them we acquire because of customers reason. We just want to get the customer because now all this year we know how much each customer worth to us. And if there's a way that we can buy the customer cheaper than we can get by ourselves, we would do that too.
That's very important because entrepreneurs or businesses they don't know how much they would be willing to pay for their one to acquire one customers.
Right. Our formula right now, we've been in business too long. So we know the number. We and this is you have to have a lot of knowledge to acquire company. Acquire company is not that easy, right? Because from the business perspective, it's difficult, and to merge two group of people to work together as one company is also difficult. But time and time we gain a lot of experience, and it's a lot. It has been a lot smoother. So last week we acquired another company for Smart Turn, just last week. So we keep growing organically, and we use our profit to make acquisition.
Excellent. What is one of your proudest entrepreneurial moment?
Basically is like at this point, money is not the number one factor that I wake up every day. I think is when I see people, especially the employee overseas, when they have opportunity to work with us, and and feel so good about joining the company and make a contribution, and that's what we are here for.
So you like to see people growth. You like.
Yes, we grow professionally and financially. And you see a lot of a lot of people around the world. They are even smarter than most of us here. But the difference between them and us is opportunity. So I think is what we do is benefit both, benefit the company investors and also the people who actually work for us.
I see. Can you share one of your personal habits that you believe contribute to your success today?
I think is like you and I, right? Most of us, we came from a very we came from Vietnam. We came here with nothing. Basically, when 13 years old, I remember a lot of people told me, Thuy, why your job is so secure at NASA? So why you go out and cut 50% of your pay raise, of your salary, then work a lot more hours than you with space industry. This is what I told them. I say, put it this way: when I came to this country, I have nothing. So anything that at this point right now is bonus.
Bonus, exactly.
Right. So I don't worry about we have one of the advantages of us come from a very challenging history background. Is we have survival skill a lot higher than other people, and we're willing to take somewhat more risk than the people have good life here or more stable life here.
I see. Do you have some internet resources that you're in love with and you want to share with the audience?
Say again?
Do you have some internet resource like Evernote or some tool that you use often and that you're in love with and want to share with the audience?
Actually, I'm not that tech savvy. I use the standard IT provided to me. Okay, so whatever the IT's, usually what we use is we are Microsoft shop. So when the IT make decision for this, we use this and that, and I just follow the process.
Okay, gotcha.
Right, okay. So I use one pretty standard one, right? So just LinkedIn and a few things, but it's nothing fancy.
Gotcha. And if you could recommend one guest in my show, who would it be?
There's a lot of people. I can think about it. If I there's I can give some introduction. There's a company in Houston. I think it grow very fast now. It's called Medifer. Okay, why don't you write this down? Okay, let me type it in for you.
Okay.
This is the company that I actually is part of DiCentral before, but we took some investor money in and we spin it off. We have a very smart team there. It is in the medical side, in referral business for doctors. It's growing very fast. And I will give you a introduction to the CEO of that company.
If you could recommend one book to my audience, what would it be?
I read many books,
Yeah,
right?
one
So
book.
almost many books. There's many books out there, but the last book I read is it came from Lee Kuan Yew from Singapore,
Okay.
right? So the last book he wrote like last December, I forgot the title. It's very interesting. He gave the views, his view of the world. It's kind of, it's not only politics. It kind of your personal gain and business and many other factors. So that might be a really good book for everyone.
Okay anh.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much anh.
Okay, bye
Bye
bye.
bye.